Hey, welcome to Two Guys Garage. Today, ladies and gentlemen, you might want to winch yourself off the couch because we're talking about the all-American chariot of the free world, a Jeep. We got a couple of them. This one has a cooling issue and some other problems. Kev's out picking up one with a starting issue. The theme for today's show is It's Just a Rock. Get over it. Today in the shop, we're going Jeeping nuts. Got a couple of them for you. Now, we have a few buddies that are headed out to Moab, kind of the ultimate testing ground for all things four-wheel drive. Just the trail names. You got Metal Masher, Hell Dorado, Hell's Revenge, Coyote Canyon. Kind of intimidating, right? You gotta bring your A game if you're headed to Moab. And as our little Jeep Cherokee sits right now, kind of an average C student. Got a couple problems, but it looks good, right? Sitting on a 6.5-inch lift. Underneath the hood, the 4-liter power plant. Now, this was a workhorse for Jeep, but a couple things with this motor and this power plant. As you could tell, just the packaging itself, super tight and condensed, a lot of ambient heat. You'll actually see guys cut holes in the hood to use as like a heat exchanger and so forth. A lot of guys with the older type Jeep Cherokees will try to go with this new radiator system. Although this is an aftermarket radiator, it's already leaking. A couple other issues with this one. We're gonna put in some new plugs. We have some brake lines we're gonna do for it. And the cool thing about these particular Cherokees, really AMC was the first guys to build the Cherokees. Then Chrysler absorbed AMC. And it wasn't really until Chrysler came out with the Grand Cherokee to match the Cherokee that these things really took off. Production numbers skyrocketed. And they're really adequate on the trail. You just got them, you gotta get them stopping right, cooling right, and working right, which is what we're gonna do right now. Now, if you could only keep your Jeep as cool as you are, we get a little help from our friends at Reach Cooling. All right, with this OEM-style radiator, they meet or exceed OEM manufacturing sort of rules, if you will, and I'll do some side-by-side comparisons and show you. Now, the first thing, obviously, you take a good look at our Reach Cooling radiator. It's aluminum and plastic. It's gonna be a lot lighter than the old brass and copper mechanism that we had in the thing. And if you look closely, you can see how tightly packed these fins are, as opposed to what we have here, right, where the fins are a little bit more spread out. It's gonna allow for turbulation in fins, so you actually get more efficient cooling when they're tighter packed like this, okay? Which is a bonus. Now, another thing I really like about the radiators from Reach Cooling is tap water. You know you're guilty of it. How many times have you been told not to put tap water in your radiator? You keep on doing it, don't you? Well, luckily, they've added some anti-corrosive material to inside their tubes to protect against that, albeit you really need to use distilled water. That way, it's gonna keep all that galvanic corrosion away. Electrolysis, you ever open that radiator and see all that white, weird, gunky stuff and figure, what is that? Well, that's killing your radiator, all right? But fortunate for us, the guys from Reach add some anti-corrosive material inside their tubes, tighter packed fins. It's lighter. They have over 1,000 units, so they cover like 99% of the cars on the road. So it's real efficient, a little lighter, much better. Now all you gotta do is get it in the car. All right, now that we got the radiator installed, let's just talk about cooling in general, because a lot of misconceptions, questions, whatnot about cooling. What kind of cap should I use? How much surface area I need for the radiator? What should I put in it? 50-50 mix, blah, 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 blah. So when you think about, the water boiling, what's happening, hot spots in the motor and so forth, and the vaporization that occurs, something to take note of. For every pound of pressure that's exerted onto a cooling system, the static boiling point increases by 3 degrees. So let's say you have a 15-pound cap. Well, then your boiling temperature, right, becomes 250, 255 degrees or so. Not bad. However, Evans Cooling, right, does something far greater than most fluids you could put as far as coolant goes. Now, it's Evans high-performance waterless coolant and prep fluid. We've already used the prep fluid. Now, if you're starting with, say, a new build, you just have to drop into Evans. Its boiling point is 375 degrees, well above any operating temperature of any engine I know. And the fact that it won't overheat, right? It wicks away heat from those hot spots where a normal coolant would vaporize. And another part, it's waterless. H2O, so it doesn't have oxygen in it. That means it doesn't have all those corrosive sort of properties that you get with water. And the best part is, it's permanent. It's a lifelong coolant solution. And it even comes with this cool little funnel. So there you go. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, I'm gonna dump this in and get ready. You guys go have a drink, and I'll see you in just a couple minutes.
With Jeep dealerships expanding to more than 75 countries in 75 years, you could say that Jeep fever is a worldwide phenomenon. Now, do you know what country represents the largest Jeep market outside the United States? We'll have the answer when we return. What's the largest Jeep market outside the United States? The answer is A. Though China's local Jeep production continues to grow, the U.S. is still the world's largest Jeep market, and by far. In 2016, over 133,000 Jeeps were sold in China, while over 900,000 were sold in the U.S. This Two Guys Garage IQ test is brought to you by Federated Auto Parts.
Hey gang, welcome back. Now, a few of our knucklehead friends are headed out to Moab to enjoy a weekend of wheeling, and it will be a blast. But imagine if you're on top of El Dorado, some monster obstacles. You're about to tip over a 15.5, 20-foot rock or something like that at a 7-degree angle. The last thing you want to feel is a mushy brake pedal. Well, in comes Crown Performance stainless steel brake lines. And these things are fantastic. They're pressure tested up to 4,500 pounds. They come in all kinds of colors. They're DOT approved. You can put them on race cars, you can put them on street cars, you can put them on wheeling rigs. Again, come in all kinds of colors. And a great thing about them is no volumetric expansion, meaning when you hit that pedal, that mushy feeling of the brake line swelling, you don't have that. You feel that brake immediately. Super simple to put on too. You got 2-piece construction holders. And again, like I said, 5 layers of Kevlar and stainless steel, all kinds of protection, exactly what you want at a place like Moab. Now, you're probably familiar with the old J-strap plug and probably seen E3 plugs. And you think to yourself, wow, they talk about more horsepower, better efficiency, better at cold starts, more torque, all the great things you want to hear. And believe me, they got the numbers to back it up. You question, how do they do that? Well, I'll show you. It actually comes with this patented technology right here in this electrode. And it's really slick what they did. Because this electrode hangs down in the cylinder, you get more localized pressure, which is a good thing. And because the increase of available edge-to-edge contact, what that's gonna do is get a more rapid spark fire, right? That's gonna eliminate things like quenching and shadowing. And also, I wanna point out this. You see these 3 legs that hold that electrode up? They work to dissipate heat, so it's gonna wick that heat out of the cylinder much faster than, say, a normal plug. And they're gonna back this guy up with a 100,000-mile warranty. Pretty sweet, right? All right, all I gotta do is get it in there so my man's rolling through Moab in top-notch shape. You know, gang, at this point, I'm just walking around the shop, hunting for cool things to upgrade my buddy's Jeep in because nobody's seen Kevin. If you see him, though, send him my way. We have things to do. Speaking of walking around the shop, I ran into Hot Shot Secret Transmission Stiction Eliminator. Fantastic stuff. It's compatible with anything that requires ATF, transmission fluid, all right? It's gonna help in anything of those shudders and that skipping you get in some of those transmissions. It's fantastic, you just pour it in. Also, FR3 friction reducer with 3 patented technologies. It's gonna reduce all your friction wear by 43%. And this is fantastic, it's good for oil. Or let me show you something. Your power steering pump, and I just happen to know a little bit about that. Here's my little wheeling rig, and I was actually out wheeling. Oh, found the picture, there it is. So I had to actually pivot off this rock right here, and I needed the vehicle to go left. So I'm in there actually fighting the rig, right? And the power steering pump, because I don't have hydro steer, I'm doing this, like this. I pour just about a Dixie cup of FR3 friction reducer in, and all of a sudden that fight goes from this to this. unbelievable how it gets in and fights your friction, which is why I have no problem whatsoever putting it in my buddy's Jeep who's headed to Moab. And it's simple. I love these additives. Again, reduces the friction by 43%, and you just, woo, pour it in. All right, and with that, we're done. Again, if you see Kevin, would you send him my way? See you in a couple.
It can be easy to get confused about identifying the proper size fastener for a project. Some people assume the bolt size is indicated by the head of the bolt, but this isn't correct. Bolt size is determined by the diameter and length of the bolt, so the best way to make sure you have the right size fastener is to measure it. The proper measuring procedure is the same for any type fastener. First, identify the diameter and pitch of the thread. For metric fasteners, you'll need to measure the thread pitch. This is the distance between threads. For SAE fasteners, the thread is determined by the number of threads per inch. Next, check that you have the correct underhead length. This will maximize thread engagement and prevent the fastener from bottoming out in the hole. Then, measure the grip length to prevent run-out thread interference. All that's left is to pick the correct fastener material for your application and either a hex or 12-point wrenching surface. Once you've properly determined the size of the fasteners, you can install them with the confidence that you've chosen the best fastener for the application. This tech tip is brought to you by ARP, Automotive Racing Products. This segment of Two Guys Garage is brought to you by Power Stop Brakes. Don't just stop, Power Stop.
Hey, Willie, heads up. We're coming in hot. Catch it.
Oh, man.
Hey, thanks for the hand, Jack. What do you think,
Whoa,
man?
this thing's awesome.
Yeah, dude.
Wow, man.
Yeah, sorry it took a little while, but traffic was bad, you know, towing this thing in. It's not quite running.
Yeah.
But you can see, dude, it has lived a life. Maybe
Yeah,
10 lives,
Right.
you know?
It's all beat up, but for all the right reasons,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, no, this is a 2000 Jeep TJ. I mean, it started out obviously brand new, and it's been morphed over the years and turned into this awesome creation.
Yeah, now, obviously, he's used it for nothing more than fun because, you know, just judging from the hydro steer, he's got this double-headed ram.
Yeah.
All right? And that's gonna tell you there's no mechanical linkage on there, so this is nothing more than a rock crawler. It's nothing more than a toy. You can't legally drive this car on the road.
Yeah, so what that means is there's not a mechanical connection between your steering wheel and the wheels. It's all done by hydraulic pressure. Pushes one side, pushes the other side.
Yeah.
But it's a great system out on the trail.
It is a must. Separates the men from the boys. And he's headed to Moab, so he's got a couple problems with it. That's why it's here, right?
Yeah.
He's wanting to thrash on it really fast just because, you know, you're going to Moab in a couple weeks, and from what I get, it's just not running right or it won't start.
Yeah, he's got a couple things left and just needs a couple extra hands. We got some big tires we can throw on it for him.
Nice.
He's got custom drive shafts coming because he made a new lift for it. And then the motor's stopped running right. So basically, he said it fires up. It'll kind of stumble a little bit, probably die out. It won't run. He did throw some ether in there.
And it lit off?
And it lits off just fine, so I think we've got good spark.
Okay.
So it sounds like we've got something in the fuel system, so.
Hey, this is what we do, so let's get after it, do a little diagnosing, and get this thing all fired up, man. What a ride, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, let's fire this thing up,
Yeah,
or
man.
try to, and see what it's doing.
Sure.
You ready? It almost caught, but
Yeah, you can hear it
not
kind
so
of barking
much.
a little bit, but,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, he says sometimes it'll stumble run, and then, of course, the ether.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, in general, we've got spark, because normally we'd go in there and maybe check spark and plugs
Sure,
and
man.
wires.
The old school way, remember the days you'd pull off a spark plug wire if you have those on your car, put a screwdriver in it, hunt for a ground bolt, try to arc it. Well, obviously we got a spark because it wants to sputter a little bit. So another good thing is just check for fuel.
Yeah.
Well, we have a little Schrader valve right here. And typically if you hit this, you can see some fuel maybe squirt out. Okay, so it's got fuel.
It's got fuel,
Still
and it's
no-
got spark. No, we don't
Yeah.
know how much of each,
Right.
but
That's probably something we could check. I did bring it, you know,
Yeah.
fuel pressure gauge. And again, it is spitting and sputtering a little bit, which tells you it might be getting a little bit of that fuel delivery, but not enough to keep those injectors firing off the way they should be.
all right,
so
let's get that on there.
get this guy. Okay.
All right, and
All right, little
turn the
bleed
key
off.
again, see what we got.
Now, these typically run about 40 to 45 pounds of pressure.
What do we got?
10, 11.
11's a little low.
Yeah, right? And again, like I was saying, these typically like 40 to 45 pounds of pressure. At 10, it's not enough to keep those injectors firing properly. So I'm gonna guess either fuel filter, which we looked, this one doesn't have an inline filter, so can't be that. Then you'll probably guess fuel pump.
Yeah. Now, other things, if you got fuel pressure, you could have injectors that are clogged. You could have injectors not firing, right? So you can do a lot of things on that end of it, but this one's gonna end up maybe being kind of simple. So why don't we get this thing prepped, pull the tank, drop a new pump in it.
Yeah.
And you know what? While we're ordering it, let's show these guys some goodies that just showed up.
Oh man, you're gonna love it.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin, here you go, man. No more busted knuckles. All right, remember from TR Tools, you've seen this on our show a number of times. It's the tight reach extension wrench. Stupid handy, man. These things save your knuckles a lot.
Yeah, not only knuckles, it saves time because you don't have kind of that one click when your ratchet just can't get any room, right? You get the extension on there. Now you can get the full sweep. You get your hands away from hot things and sharp things.
Exactly. Now, you've seen the Pro 1/4 inch and 3/8 before, but they just came out with a 1/2 inch drive, and this thing is brute. Up to 1,200 foot-pounds of torque. It's 14 inches long, so you get a long swing in that, too.
Yeah, when they say pro, they mean pro because you can put your impact wrench on there. Just imagine all the areas you can't get one of those things in, but now you can with the tight reach. You guys are gonna love these. One of the slickest fastener systems on the planet is Stage 8 locking fasteners.
Now, you've been a victim of it. He's been a victim of it. I have as well. Over time, right? Heat cycles and vibration loosens up the bolt. Well, that won't happen when you go to Stage 8 locking fasteners.
Yeah, now this is their locking turbo nuts, and you can see on the nut here, there's a groove.
Nice.
This pops in, rests up against some feature, and then with the clip, you can pop it right into that groove, and you've got a locking system. You can visually see it so you know it's tight, right?
It's a great setup. It's from Stage 8. It's their locking fasteners.
When you're outfitting an off-road Jeep like the guys are today, don't forget to inspect your wheel hubs and replace them if they're starting to go bad. Because when you're tackling tough terrain, it's vital to keep your wheels and tires securely attached. Not all wheel hubs are created equal, especially when it comes to OE quality parts. Believe it or not, parts machined to tight specifications, normally within a couple thousandths of an inch, will outperform other parts that aren't precision manufactured. Installing an inferior replacement part can lead to excessive friction and premature failure of vital components like wheel bearings and brakes. To guarantee the right fit, function, and feel for today's off-road Jeep project, the guys are using an OE quality replacement from BCA Bearings by NTN. These Gen 3 wheel hubs are built with easy-to-install premium forged steel studs that provide superior strength and a watertight seal to prevent contamination, even in harsh Moab conditions. Whether you're taking on the desert or cruising the blacktop, you can find the right BCA replacement wheel hubs for your application at Federated Auto Parts.
Hey, welcome back, man. On our 2003 TJ, and I gotta tell you, I love this old rock car. We got our new fuel pump in, so I'm feeling pretty confident we got it dialed in.
Yeah, and I'm feeling confident he can get it dialed in. I just got an emergency call. We got a customer stuck on the side of the road.
All right.
I'm gonna grab the wrecker. You pull this off?
Easy like Sunday morning, man. I'm gonna get right in here and get a little crazy with it. All right, now look, obviously this is no pajama party Barbie Jeep. This thing is made tough and it's gonna have one of the toughest testing grounds come at it in just a number of days. Talking Moab. Last thing we want is another fuel delivery issue. Now let me explain what happened. We pulled that pump out and noticed that the fuel sock was off of the pump. It was laying in the bottom of the tank. And also in there, a bunch of particulates, some debris, and that's gonna make that pump suck that up and probably thrash the inside of the pump. So we got a new one. Let me show you a little bit of the cool things and features about this pump. You can see he used the old school zip tie method to hold the float on. This one being new, It's gonna be a little easier to get in here. Float snaps here. Now, it's basically a self-regulating pump. So there's no return line. So this pump's regulated about 40 PSI. And you notice when we did that test on the fuel pressure, it was sitting about 10, 11 pounds. Not enough to adequately run that nuclear power plant that's underneath the hood. So real simple, real easy. I'll snap this little sending unit into place, and you can see when the float level raises, that's gonna tell you how much fuel you have in it. And like I said, it's all encapsulated. We'll put this gasket on, drop this back in the tank, and have our man ready for Moab in no time flat. All right, here we come. The moment of truth. Nice. Nice. All right, obviously we got the start issue on our Hyundai crossover repaired and fixed. Hey, check out the tires, some big trapdoors, which translated actually means climb or climber. And if you recall that first Jeep, we did what? Radiator, we did plugs. I found some other stuff around the shop, which included brake lines, some hot shot secrets, goodies. Everything went fantastic, even with the lack of my partner. And the next time you see this thing, it's gonna be out in Moab. Pretty sweet, right? And remember, you know, it takes about 48 hours for somebody to go on a missing persons report. If they own a Jeep, you might want to give them about 4 or 5 days. Hope you guys had a good time. We'll see you next time on Two Guys Garage.